Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna Mahantra ki Jai, Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you. We'll begin with short prayers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namah. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pakshadeshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण. Why this is so slow? Sharing. Okay. This verse. And position. Sandanu, Hare Krishna. कसा आहेस? बऱ्याच दिवसांत भेट झाली आपली. तब्येत ठीक आहे ना? थोड़ा एक मिनट अरे बंद कर दिया क्या? You can connect to Bluetooth also, no? Sufficient loud enough. स्क्रीन बंद कर ना. Hare Krishna. So we have successfully completed our sessions on discover yourself. So I hope everybody has discovered by now who they are. So they could discover the self. So there is a nice verse which comes in 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Bande. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna. Yes. There is a nice verse which comes in Bhagavad Gita. The verse is 7.3. Please repeat behind me. Manusyanam sahasreshu kasyit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyit mam veti tattvataha. One more time. Manusyanam sahasreshu kasyit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyit mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So this is a very interesting verse which gives you the calculation. So in the course about discover yourself, we found one very important thing, that is, who are we? We are not this body, we are soul. So our identity is very clear. That I'm not, engineer, I'm not doctor, I'm not lawyer, or I'm not a man or woman, or I'm not a, husband or wife. So those all identities, they belong to this body. But apart from this body, there is something which is a soul. So Krishna talks in the next verse only. Krishna talks about a para-prakriti and apara-prakriti. So these are Sanskrit words, some technical words, which is not very easy to remember or understand in now, but eventually you'll understand it very nicely. So the para-prakriti is something which is chetana or spiritual, and apara-prakriti, which is material, which is bhautika. So Krishna is talking about apara prakriti in the beginning. He says that this whole body is made up of 8 elements. So till now you must have heard the body is made up of 5 elements. Which are the 5 elements which body is made up of? So Chandru?
Vayu,
Vayu,
Jal,
Jal,
Mrida,
Vayu, Jal,
Soil,
Prithvi, Prithvi, soil, yes, good. Agni and Akash. So it is Prithvi, then Jala, then Agni, Vayu, and Akash. So this, how you can remember this in a sequence? Prithvi is very gross. You can grossly touch Prithvi, see Prithvi, and then little above Prithvi is little subtle is Jala, and above Jala is Agni, and above Agni is Vayu, and above Vayu is Akash. So this whole body, which is made up of Pancha Mahabhut, which is called as the Pancha Mahabhut, the 5 gross elements. Bhumirapo, Kham, Bhumirapo, Jala, Kham, Bhumirapo, Jala, Vayu, and Kham. These are the 5 elements. So this whole body is made up of these 5 elements. Ultimately, somebody dies. What happens to him? He ultimately again merges into these 5 elements. Either a person, somebody is dead, then he is burned. And when you have a cremation, what happens? He merges into fire, and then the ashes merges into the earth, and then he gets into Jala, Vayu, and ultimately Akash. So this whole body, which we see, which we touch, which we feel, is made up of these 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Very easy to remember: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Apart from this, I said that this whole body is made up of 8 elements. We just discussed. We just know about these 5 elements. Which are 3 other elements? That is also very important to understand. So Krishna in the next verse is talking about those 8 elements. So the next 3 elements are Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. So basically, we understood that I am not this body, I am soul. So this body is made up of 8 elements means there's a suppose this particular part is the soul. Above there is a one covering, and then there is one more covering. The one covering which is called as the subtle covering, and there is another covering which is a gross covering. The gross covering is made up of earth, water, fire, and ether, and the subtle covering is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. MBA. Easy to remember. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. I was in Pandharpur, so one Maharaj said, "How's your MBA going on?" I said, "What is MBA going on? How's your Man, Buddhi, Ahankar?" So basically, the soul is captured in these 2 cages. One is a subtle cage, another is a gross cage. So Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, we cannot see. We cannot easily understand what it is. But the gross elements, which we can easily see. So why we are discussing? Because this was the very important topic we discussed in discovery ourselves. So we have discovered ourselves, that is, I am not this body, I am soul. And the next discovery about the self is I have to connect myself to the God. That's very, very important. If I don't connect myself to the God, I am here in this material world suffering. Why should I connect? So whenever we are taking some important decision in our life, we should always ask WH question. Why, what, how, when, where. This is very important. Friend is calling and saying that, "Hey, चल निकलते हैं." कहाँ जाना है? किधर जाना है? क्यों जाना है? किस लिए जाना है? कितने बजे जाना है? So many questions we ask, which is very much necessary. Similarly, there are so many important decisions in our life, where we should ask this question. It's very important. Otherwise, somebody else is, one of my friends is going to America, I am also going to America. But why? I just want to go to America. Like, this example Rajasthan Proof gives, one person is driving and he's going very fast, very fast, very fast. The course would say, the person is going very fast, somebody comes close to him and says, "Sir, where are you going? Don't disturb me, let me go." And he's going fast. Again, that person comes, "Where are you going, sir? So fast. Any emergency, anything happen?" "I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going." So many times people's life is meaningless because they don't know the meaning of their life. They don't know who are they. They don't know the destination where they want to go. So they never ask this question. So a soul should connect to super soul, that is to supreme personality of God. A jiva should connect to Ishvara. That's very important. And that's the second discovery which we have done. That I have to connect myself to the God. For that, we have to have a faith that God exists. And for that existence of God also we saw that there are different ways we can understand God. There are three pramanas we saw by which we can understand God. One pramana is pratyaksha pramana. That will show me if God exists, he should be here in front of me. If I can see him, then only I'll believe. And then he says, seeing is believing. Whatever I see is what I believe. And then there is this example of refraction is given, reflection and refraction. The science students, I hope everybody understand. They have gone through it. And there are so many things, like, I always give this example that behind this wall, there are 100 people standing. That's what I can see. No, sir, you cannot. You cannot see behind this wall. Your senses are imperfect. So this Pratyaksha Praman is not valid because Pratyaksha, you cannot understand God. Then next is Anuman Praman. And now we start assumption. With the assumption, you try to understand. What is the distance between sun and earth? The distance between sun and earth is like this much and that much. So this is assumption done. So people are trying to do, they assume. And then through assumption, they try to understand God. But we cannot understand God with assumptions also, Anuman. We can understand God with Shabda Praman, the sound vibration. What is Shabda Praman? That we hear from an authoritative person. That authoritative person has to be authoritative person. He has heard from authoritative person. In Parampara, there is a Guru Shishya Parampara that makes a person authoritative. Another thing, that person is not only speaking, but he is following his life. He is a realized soul. And that realized soul can impart this knowledge. And that's why when we understand this particular way, this knowledge of God, then only the existence of God can be proven. Otherwise, existence of God cannot be proven. So God is something which has to be, I always tell you, God is something which does not have to be seen, which we have to experience. That's very important because He's so subtle, that energy is so sukshma, which we cannot see through these eyes. Our eyes cannot see this. Our eyes are so imperfect, they cannot see something they cannot see air which is present in this room. Can somebody see the air? Anybody has some special eyes? Where they can see? At least I can, with 4 eyes. Can't see the air present in this room. So if our eyes cannot see air, which is subtle, God's presence is very difficult to understand. So with a pratyaksha or with assumptions, God cannot be understood. Many people assume, and then with their assumptions, with their speculations, they say God must be like this, like that, like that. No, sir, God cannot be understood that. God can be understood with Shabda, and that's what the best part of our people in Kali Yuga. The Shabda Praman is nothing but the words of God. That is Bhagavad Gita. So this whole course is based on the Gita, the song which is sung by God Himself. Yes, Vayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad Vinishruta. This particular song is sung by who? Padmanabha. Bhagwan Padmanabha, Bhagwan Krishna, Swayam ye gana gaya hua hai. And that's why these words are very powerful. And every word can change our life. Every word is so meaningful that can give us the right direction in our life. So we understood first discovery is that I am not this body, I am soul. Second discovery is God exists. Third discovery is I have to connect myself to the God. And then how will I connect myself to the God is very important. So first, who am I? Whom should I get connected? How does he look? How does he talk? So there's a description. Yes, he is very beautiful. He is Bhagavan. Bhagavan, everybody, the definition of Bhagavan? Shantanu, have you heard any time? Kaustubh?
Bhaga plus 1.
Yeah, Bhaga plus 1. Like, there is this Dhanavan. Dhanavan means one who possesses Dhana. He is Dhanavan. That is similarly, there is Bhagavan, Vidyavan. One who has Vidya, knowledge. So Bhaga, one who possesses Bhaga. What is this Bhaga means? So, they just looks. Okay, one of them.
6 Aishwarya.
Yes, they are the 6 Aishwarya. Bhaga means Aishwarya. One who possesses Aishwarya. And there are 6 Aishwaryas. Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashashasya. That one who possesses the six opulences is called as a Bhagavan. So Parashara Muni is the one who wanted to know who is Bhagavan. He said that Brahma has created this earth, the whole Brahmanda. Shiva is the destroyer, and Vishnu is the maintainer. Who is Bhagavan amongst them? So he goes to Narad Muni and asks, Narad Muni, who is Bhagavan? And then you do one thing, you go to all of them, and you do something. You go to Brahma and you insult him. So Parashara Muni goes to Brahmaji. He's a brother of Brahma. Brahma is his father, because Brahmaji has created every world. So he goes and then he speaks some insulting word. And Brahmaji becomes angry. With his commando, he's just removing water to curse him. And Parashara Muni runs out from there. And he goes to Kailash. He goes to Kailash and he goes in front of Shivji. Does not respect Shivji. He says, "You are my brother. What is this? Hey, you are having these snakes and all. I don't want to talk to you. You are dirty. You're always putting this bhasma. You're always sitting in Smashana." So Shivji becomes angry. Shivji runs behind him with Trishula. Brahmaji, I used to consider him Bhagwan because from him, whole creation has come from him. Now this Shivji, he is my brother and he is Dhira Purush and he is very sense control and he is becoming angry, he is running behind me. What should I do? And he goes to Vaikuntha. And in the Vaikuntha, Narayana is sleeping on a Shesha, and Shesha says, yeah, Lakshmi is massaging the feet. And as soon as he goes there, he goes and kicks on the chest of Narayana. And he kicks on the chest of Narayana. And then, if somebody kicks you, what will be the reaction? You give one, I give 10. That will be the reaction. But then Narayana catches hold of his leg and says, oh, my chest is like a stone. Your soft leg must have got hurt. I'm so sorry. And then he says, oh, he must be Bhagavan. And then further he writes his definition of Bhagavan, that one who possesses six opulences. Which are those six opulences? Which every one of us wants to have, but we cannot have. Because we are very limited. One is looks, means beauty. And wealth. Now everything will come what you want. Kaustubh wants wealth, so wealth will come. Anybody from online? Beauty, wealth, intelligence, fame. I'm so famous. Okay. So beauty, intelligence, famous, wealth, or strength. Strength. If it's a strength, wants to have, everybody goes to gym to develop some dole shole, and everybody wants to have a lot of strength in his body. Very powerful. Strength and renunciation, vairagya. So these are the six opulences which God has in full. Why is God? Because he has all these opulences incomplete. Otherwise, we see some people are wealthy, we see some people are beautiful, we see some people are very powerful, very strong, some people are very intelligent, but not everybody possesses all six opulences incomplete. And that's why he is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the one who possesses six opulences incomplete. So the discovery, anything important? So the discovery, first discovery is that I am not this body, I am soul. Second discovery is, yes, God exists. Third is that I have to connect myself to God. Fourth is that God is Bhagavan, God is very, very powerful. And the place where he resides is also very beautiful and powerful. There is a shloka which comes in Bhagavad Gita. It says, Nashashankona Pavaka. There is the place which is called the Adhyatmika Jagata, Prabhupada calls it spiritual sky, where there is no need of electricity. There is no need of tube light. There is, this particular place is self-illuminated. It's amazing. It's dazzling. And that particular place is Nashashankona. Once you go to that place, you don't feel like coming back. So there is some amazing place where he resides, that is Adhyatmika Jagata, which also called as a Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means, Kuntha means misery. And Vaikuntha means where there is no misery. So where we are currently residing is Kuntha Jagat, where there is always a misery around us. Which kind of miseries are around us? Birth, old age, disease, and death. These are the four prominent problems which we cannot solve. We cannot solve, right? There is no solution to this problem. Yes.
Solution.
So birth, old age, disease, there is a solution. That is the practice of spiritual life. And any other miseries there in this world?
Adi Bhautik, Adi Devi.
There are three miseries. That is also called as the three tapa. Adi Daivika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha, Adhyatmika Klesha. So Adi Daivika Klesha is the klesha, the tapa, the trouble, miseries caused by natural calamities. I asked you a few days back. Any natural calamity. Recently there was earthquake, or there was so many floods, and there's so many things.
Cyclone.
Cyclone, tsunami, so many things happen. So natural, that is Adi Daivika Klesha. Then there is Adi Bhautika Klesha. Adi Bhautika Klesha is that any person next to us can do something, terrorists can attack. Even the mosquito bite is also Adi Bhautika Klesha. Easy to remember. Adi Bhautika Klesha. And there is Adhyatmika Klesha. That is Adi Atmika. Atmika means because of our mind. Not because of practice of spiritual life there is a klesha. That removes the klesha. But Adi Atmika Klesha, that our mind itself causes a trouble. How many of you fought with someone and then you came back and then you are troubled so much? You fought with someone and you came back and अरे क्यों मारा क्यों बोला ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था उसने ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था मैंने ऐसे कुछ करना चाहिए so much it troubles us so much. Our mind can trouble the most. The biggest klesha is our mind. Like there is this explanation given in Satya Yuga. There were demons, or they used to fight. So there was a fight between in Satya Yuga. There was a fight between a demon from one planet and the demigod from another planet. There was a fight between two different planets. Then came Treta Yuga. The fight was between two different continents or states, the countries. Then came Dwapar Yuga. The fight was between family, Kauravas and Pandavas. And then came Kali Yuga. Is the fight. Fight is in between. Fight is going on in our own side. And that fight is between a mind and intelligence. So many times you go to I go to a place where like you are sick, you have a fever, you go to doctor, doctor gives you prescription that you should not eat anything fried, heavy. He says why do you eat it? With the medicine, you go collect the medicine, you come out, and then you smell a vada pav, samosa, and you say नहीं खाना चाहिए, डॉक्टर ने बोला है नहीं खाना चाहिए, फीवर बढ़ सकता है. And then mind says, eat. There's no problem with the bus. And you go pick up one and come, and then night you have a heavy fever, and then same mind, you rascal, you don't understand. You are told not to do this, and you are doing it. What is this nonsense? So there's so much fight between going on in between. So in the Kali Yuga, the biggest problem is our mind. So the next discovery is that this particular place is miserable, and the miseries are caused because of this klesha, the Adibhautika klesha, Adidaivika klesha, Adhyatmika klesha. There are four problems of life, that is birth, old age, disease, and death. And because of that, I'm caught up in this place, and I have to break this cycle. To break this cycle, I have to practice spiritual life. And by practicing spiritual life, I can go back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha, that is, to Krishna Loka. So this particular verse is related to that. Out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and those who have achieved perfection, hardly one know me in truth. So we were discussing, we discovered so many discoveries we have done, and we were discussing about those discoveries. In those discoveries, now there is a person who is understood that spiritual life is very important. So, what is the population of India? 1
billion.
1 billion. 1 billion is doctor cost. 1.4 billion. Okay. What is the population of world? 8-9.
7 plus billion.
7 plus billion. So, amongst all these people, how many of them have actually understood these discoveries? How many percent people must have understood these discoveries? Like what discoveries you have got to? I'm not talking about Discovery Channel. 1%. This discovery is that you are not this body or soul. And ultimately you have to practice a spiritual life. This discovery is understood by not even 1%, less than 1%. So this particular shloka talks about it. He says that out of many thousand people, out of thousand people, one man endeavor for perfection. So this perfection is to know about God. And that's why there is a Vedanta Sutra. There are many Vedanta Sutras. Among that, there is one Vedanta Sutra which says Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That a person should do Brahma Jigyasa. He should inquire. That's very important. What is there in the dinner? Which recent upcoming series or movie is coming, right? Which is the best bike I can have and go for a long drive to Ladakh, Leh Ladakh, right? This, which is the best shampoo and hair oil by which I can grow my hairs or by which I can look beautiful, right? These are the best inquiries. और यू इंक्वायर अरे उसके उसका उसका जो कुछ चल रहा था उसका क्या हुआ the best advice we can get them, right? So jigyasa is inquiry. So this is called athato bhayankara jigyasa. It does not call athato brahma jigyasa. The Vedanta Sutra says it is athato brahma jigyasa. So Brahma means absolute truth. Brahma means parama satya. So there has to be inquiry about a Parama Satya. Brahma Jigyasa is very important. And that's why where it is said that out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection. So out of these 1,000 people, one person is trying to know, have this Jigyasa. Out of those 1,000 persons who are trying to have Jigyasa, out of those who have achieved perfection, so out of these 1,000 people, so there are 1,000 people, amongst that one person is trying to have some Jigyasa about the absolute truth, about the Parama Satya. So like that, there are 1,000 people again who will understand. Among those 1,000 people, one will understand what is absolute truth. So that means out of 1 lakh people, one will understand what is absolute truth. Out of those 1 lakh people, now one has understood what is absolute truth. Like that, there are 1,000 people in which one person will actually understand completely Krishna and the absolute truth. So 1,000 into 1 lakh is how much? So now you can make a calculation. How many percent? Huh? 10 CR. So out of 10 CR people, one person can understand Krishna as the Supreme Person of Godhead, as a perfect absolute truth in one complete. Who is saying this? Krishna is saying this in the world. So now if you calculate, there are hardly 0.2% people have understood the absolute truth and Krishna in complete and can understand about God. So the point is why I quoted this particular verse, that these discoveries are very rarely discussed. So we are very, very fortunate amongst those thousands and lakhs of people who have understood that this particular knowledge is very, very important. This is knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very important. So Bhagavad Gita talks about Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So Jiva is soul, Ishvara is super soul, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and the Prakriti is in between both of them. Jiva and Prakriti. The Prakriti is the energy of Krishna. Prakriti is very important. Like we saw this Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. That Krishna has external energy and internal energy. That is Bhautika Shakti and Adhyatmika Shakti. So that is Prakriti, which is spoken. And then there is a Kala, time. Krishna talks about time. Kalosmi. There is a old Mahabharata which used to start with May Samay. Kalosmi. So that's what Krishna says. So Kala, the time factor is also spoken very much. And the fifth is karma. There's so much of karma spoken in Bhagavad Gita. So these 5 topics are related to the Discover Self course is also related to these 5 topics. So in which one has to ultimately understand that I want to achieve a perfection. Like if you ask a child, what do you want to be? In one of the school, this question is asked, what do you want to be? And then the person would like to, naturally, I want to be doctor, I want to be engineer, I want to be this, that, So many reasons. And one person got up and said, one boy got up and said, I want to become a human being. So because he was having some spiritual understanding, he actually wanted to be a human. So just by writing being human does not make a person human. He has to actually understand what is being human means. So only a human life. So now what when I'm talking about this thousand and lakh and 110 CR, 1 CR people, this is all about human beings. Other animals and other species will not understand this knowledge. And that's why we are very, very fortunate that there are 84 lakh species. In those 84 lakh species, there are unlimited living entities. Amongst those unlimited living entities, I got the opportunity to be a human being. And this human being has been given a very nice intelligence and a very superior consciousness by which he can understand the absolute truth. Athato Brahma Jigyasa can be done only by human being. And what is that human being is doing? He is not doing Brahma Jigyasa, he is doing Bhayangara Jigyasa. Such an unfortunate situation. You go and read this, what I have done. Let's have a discovery self course in Goshala. How many cows will understand? No. Or you let's have a discover yourself, in the what is that race course where there are so many horses. They will not understand. No other species will understand. It's only a human being who can understand the knowledge of absolute truth. And that's why every human being who understands about this knowledge should take spiritual life very seriously. And that's why what is the process of doing is that we have to connect ourselves. The connection is called as a yoga. So this word yoga is very commonly understood some exercise. Yoga means you have this Surya Namaskara, you have this asana, that asana. That's what people understand yoga means. Anywhere where there is yoga written, people understand this only. No, yoga is not a physical stretching. It is not just some physical exercise. Yoga has different meanings. So Bhagavad Gita speaks about different yogas. It speaks about Brahma Yoga. It speaks about Jnana Yoga. Bhagavad Gita speaks about Ashtanga Yoga. And Bhagavad Gita ultimately speaks about Bhakti Yoga. So this age of Kali is very crucial. How we can attain God? It's very difficult to attain God. But at the same time, the process of attaining God is also easy. So there is Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. There are different processes, different mediums which are followed by attaining God. So in Satya Yuga, they used to perform tapasya. So I was just giving a class and we were talking about tapasya. And there were many people who are old. And then I was telling that, Pune is freezing cold. Pune's temperature is, there was a news that, Pune's temperature is lower than Mahabaleshwar temperature. Mahabaleshwar is generally very cold. Pune is like 7 and Mahabaleshwar is like 12 degrees Celsius. Current situation. So, if you are asked that, just sit on a coping on your undergarment in a sadhu position and sit outside and whole night you have to just meditate. How many of us will do? No, that's not possible. It's cold. And whether we'll go and sit in that position in Himalaya? No. But in Satya Yuga, people were doing that. They were doing the tapasya in Himalayas for thousands and thousands of years. You hear the story of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, though he was a demon, but he knew that if I perform tapasya, I'll get a lot of power. So he went and he performed tapasya for thousands of years. And he performed tapasya so severely, there's a description which comes, that his whole body was eaten by ant. There was a whole anthill on his body. And whole body was eaten by ant. And still you are chanting, Brahma is calling out for Brahmaji. And then Brahmaji becomes very happy. Eventually from his head, the fire starts coming out. So that much of power he attained. And he was performing that for thousands of years. In the age now, if you are asked that sit for a meditation for 5 minutes, not possible. Within those 5 minutes, we'll go to America, come back. Within 5, we'll go to hostel, we'll go to mess, we'll go to some park, we'll remember XYZ relationship, so many things. Not possible. This mind will jump here and there. Or your body will, nowadays, especially this Gen Z, can't sit in one place. It's difficult for these people to sit in one place. You sit in the class, the person who is giving class is straight erect, he's sitting and he's speaking for half an hour. And so audience is like, sometimes here, sometimes there, sometimes there, going all around. His mind is also going around, his physical body is also going around. How will we perform tapasya? There are so many limitations. So in this age of Kali, tapasya is not possible. Because mind is not strong, the body is not strong, and the capacity to tolerate is not there in the human being. So that's why tapasya is not possible. Which the age of Kali, in the age of Satya Yuga, people were easily performed, and that's why that was the medium in Satya Yuga of performing tapasya to attain God. So what we are discussing is perfection from this verse, and this perfection can be achieved by different mediums. The medium in Satya Yuga was tapasya. Then comes the next age, that is what? Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, what they used to perform? They used to perform yajna. So the Yuga Dharma or the yajna for that age was performance of yajna. The yajna which they used to perform was very, very elaborate. The Brahmanas, when they used to chant, it was so eloquent, and it was so detailed. Like in yajna, if the mantra is chanted wrongly, there can be a very different impact. So there was a yajna performed by Diti. So she performed the yajna, she called the Brahmanas and said that, you chant the mantras, and I want some, from this yajna, a person should be born who will kill Indra. So they chanted, Indro, instead of saying, instead of pronouncing Indrahata, they pronounced it as Indrohata. You find some difference? Indrahata, Indrohata. So there was just a difference of one matra. Indra, Hata. And because of this difference, the Hiti wanted a son who can kill Indra. The meaning became, let there be son who can be killed by Indra. Let there be son who can kill Indra. Instead of that, it became, let there be a son who can be killed by Indra. And then Rudrasura was born, and Rudrasura was killed by Indra. So the point is that the chanting of pronunciation has to be very pure. In the age of Kali, we see so hardly anybody is interested in Yajna, first of all. And you, when somebody has an interest in goes and says, you don't understand what that Brahmana is chanting. They pay the bride and groom, they say, "Are 500 rupees or low, khatam kar diyo." People are not interested, and then they cannot perform. The samugri which was performed, used in those yajna was very, very pure. Very, very extremely pure. Now go and purchase every now and then there is a news that this ghee is impure, that ghee is impure, this samagri is mixture of something. In this age of Kali, but those time it was extremely pure. The Brahmanas were pure, the samagri which was used was also very pure. The Yajna Kundas were huge. There is a description which comes that after Parikshit Maharaj, that was at the end of Kali Yuga, beginning of Kali Yuga, sorry, end of Dwapara. When Parikshit Maharaj he died, his son Janmajaya, he became very angry. And he said, all the snakes I'll kill. All the snakes of what? Othud, no. All the snakes of all over the planet. And then he chanted those mantras, the Brahmana chanted those mantras, and the snakes from everywhere started falling in the Yajna Kunda. And the Yajna Kunda was not that 1 square by 1 square Patrika Yajna Kunda. It was huge, kilometer by kilometer. So the square area used to be like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. That was the Yajna Kunda they used to make. Huge Yajna Kundas. So that was the place, that was the strength, that was the intelligence, that was the power of this Brahman. And the Brahmanas were extremely pure. So Yajna is also not possible in the age of Kali. That is also not the medium. Then what is the process? So one should actually be very worried about it. And then comes Dwapar Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga people also understood we cannot do tapasya, we cannot do yajna, but let's do a deity worship. But let's do a puja to the vigraha, murti. And then when they were making a puja, they used to have huge temples, huge deities. The deities were made up of gold. The temples were made up of gold. Temple pillars were made up of gold, studded with diamonds, jewelry. If you read from Bhagavatam, the description about Krishna's palaces, Krishna had 16,108 wives. He had palace for all of them. And in Dwarka, there were 1 lakh palaces. And every palace was made up of gold. That was the opulence in Dwapar Yuga. And then temples were having elaborate worship. Now Rama Mandir is created by the endeavor of all the Bharatvasis. They also have some opulence, but that opulence cannot be equivalent to the opulence which was there. And then whole India had to come together to make that. But those days, like one family is to just do that particular deity worship. So deity worship also not possible. Then what to do in Kali Yuga? And then Kali Yuga people cannot be focused, they cannot sit in one place, they don't have opulence, they cannot perform mantras, they cannot do yajna, there is no pure thing. What is to be done? A very simple procedure. Hari mukhe mana, hari mukhe mana, punyashi ganana kona kari. Just chant the holy name of Lord, chant the holy name of Lord. And but just by chanting the holy name of Lord, you can attain so much of punya, the pious credits, that you cannot even count. So procedure is very simple. Sit at one place, take the beads, take the mala in your hand, and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And by chanting the holy name of Lord, भगवान का पवित्र नाम लेने से हम जो है ये that is the best process for this age of Kali. Where it is mentioned in Kali Sandaran Upanishad. Kali Sandaran Upanishad, it is said Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashaka Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam. Kali Sandaran Upanishad is for Kali Sandaran Upanishad. By that only we understand this is meant for Kali Yuga. To person to get liberated, to get delivered from this age of Kali, this Kali Sandaran Upanishad is there. In this Kali Sandaran Upanishad is there, Iti Shodashaka Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam. That this 16 Mahamantras, 11 Mahamantra, is the one which can Iti Shodashaka Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam. It can eradicate, it can completely destroy all the Kalmashas of Kali Yuga. And that's why this is a very, very powerful process by which we can completely eradicate. And that's why Hare Namo, Hare Namo, Hare Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Vataranta. It is only Harinam, it is only Harinam, it is only Harinam by which we can be free from all the vices. Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Vatiranyata. Somebody may get asked this question, why this sloka is like this? Hare Namo, Hare Namo, Hare Namo, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. Why it is like that? Any guess? तीन वेळा गोष्ट सांगितलेली लक्षात महत्वाची असते. Okay, good. You must have seen the movies. There is a courtroom, and in the courtroom, as soon as people are distracted, disturbed, talking. Order, order, order. So Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama. So importance is stressed so much. It is Harinam, Harinam, and it is Harinam only. What will do? Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. कलयुग का नाश जो है वो नाश कर सकता है. There is no other medium. And that's why this is the best way by which we can connect ourselves to God. And that's why chanting the holy name of Lord has to be given at most important. So somebody may ask this question, why only Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Yes, it's a very important question. Because Kali Sandaran Upanishad says, Iti Shodashaka Namam Kali Kalmasha. It is meant for Kali Yuga. This Hare Krishna Mahamantra is meant for Kali Yuga. Somebody may ask this question, we have heard this Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Why people, ISKCON people or Gaudiya Vaishnavas who chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You must have heard this question. What is the answer?
Because Mahaprabhu has said.
Because Mahaprabhu has said. Easy to answer. Any other thing?
This was a process.
Okay. Anything else?
Prosperity Krishna.
Ram is not supreme personality of Godhead.
Yes, but that's the qualities Krishna mantra.
Okay. Anything else?
I did heard of Pasha like once many of Brahman part of the object in Lord के इतना शुद्ध नाम जिसको प्राप्त हमें प्राप्ति नहीं होती, तो आप कैसे कलियुग में सबको दे रहे हो? So then he changed the sequence and he gave Lord.
So it is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was born in Navadvip 500 years before. Who himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and who came. So there is Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Nityananda is Balaram. So they came, and the purpose of coming here, it was 500 years, 529 years. The purpose of coming here was very clear that in the age of Kali, people are completely distracted. They don't know what is to be done. They don't know how one they can connect to God. What is bhakti? So they purposefully came here to teach bhakti. So when they came to teach bhakti, they had to give something which is very important, so which is topmost, which is the best. So Kali Santana Upanishad says that Hare Krishna mantra is best. We should give this best thing. But then this is also Vedic mantra. When we say Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It is a Vedic mantra. Age of Kali is so distracted that if you ask a person to Vedic mantra means one should get up in the morning. Morning means not 10 o'clock. It is Brahma Muhurta. That is at least 1.5 hours before sunrise. It is 4:30. You get up in the morning at 4:30. And then you put a deer skin or any asana. First of all, you take bath, wear fresh clothes, put tilaka, this, decorate your body with nicely tilaka and this, and then you sit on asana, and you see the direction, which direction is the perfect direction. Take the exact timing, sit in the Padmasana, focus, point your what is it, eyes should be pointed to the tip of the nose, and it should be half, not completely closed. It should not be completely open. It is less than half closed, and in that position you have the smarana of a god, Bhagavan Krishna, and in that smarana you start chanting. Every pronunciation has to be very clear. It should not be loudly chanted, but at the same time the chanting has to be very proper. How many Kaliga people will do this? We cannot sit properly. We cannot sit erect. We cannot, what towards smarana, what towards focus, with the half closed eyes pointed towards the tip of the nose. It's not possible. So Lord understood that this Kaliuga people, and there are so many other niyam to chant. Any Vedic mantra, there are so many rules and regulations. Like I perform here. When I am performing, like I sitting in this way, whatever I am, I cannot chant this Yajna mantra. I have to sit in a position. I have to have those fresh clothes, and then many other things. There is a nyasa, so many other things to be performed. And then only I can chant those mantras. So Vedic mantras are not easily to be chanted. But then at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very compassionate. He wanted to give to everyone this particular thing. So he is Brahmana or Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, Chandala, anyone. Everybody should get this mercy of God, and that's why he flipped it. He changed the mantra. We put Hare Krishna in the beginning and Hare Rama in the second line. Why is the Vedic? It does not become a Vedic mantra. But at the same time, it is given by Supreme Personality of Godhead. It becomes more potent. It becomes more powerful because it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has shared and who has given. And that's how the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a very potent form of chanting the holy name of Lord. The Yuga Dharma, that is chanting the holy name of Lord. And that's why we have to take this chanting the holy name of Lord very seriously. So there are many other questions which can be related to chanting the holy name of Lord. One is what I just said. So do you have any questions like that? Like, I'll just give you a hint. Why one should chant only 108? Right? Anybody knows why 108? Your what is that? Instagram or YouTube? Reels. Must have told you. There are many speculations come on those reels. Yes, so why 108? Then why do you chant on 108? Why do you chant on beats? 108 ही क्यों? Tejas? Chandru? Vamshi Chandru will tell us.
Very pious, all
So 108 number is considered as very auspicious, and that's why we chant 108 times, 108 times. Why? Because there are 108 Upanishads. There are 108 prominent gopis of Krishna. Similarly, there are 108 queens of Krishna who are prominent. Not only that, 108 cows of Krishna were also prominent. That out of the 108, when you hear this Leela of Krishna, Damodar Leela, there's a discussion comes that out of those 108, 100 cows milk was taken out and then it was fed to 8 cows. The Padmagandha milk with the description comes. So like this, 108 is considered as very, very auspicious. That's why once we chant 108 because 108 Upanishad, 108 the gopis which are very dear to Krishna, and that's why the 108 is considered as very, very auspicious. Like this, any other question related to chanting? One good news is that while chanting the holy name of Lord, there are no rules and regulations. But if you are chanting a Vedic mantra, there are a lot of rules and regulations. It's a good news for Kali Yuga people. There's a discussion comes in Bhagavatam about Kali Yuga people. Kali Yuga people are Prayana Alpayusha Manda Sumandamatayo Manda Bhagya Dupanruta. That they have less age, Prayana Alpayusha, they are Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya. माथे पे लिखा है बोलते ना. The लकीर is also very unfortunate. मंद भाग्य and उपद्रुत. सगळ्यात उपद्रवी आहेत जास्तीत जास्त. Kali people are very उपद्रवी. Mischievous. Very mischievous. And that's why Kali people cannot. Hare Krishna, anyone wants to say something online? Krishna, you? Fine. So, what I say? So Kali Yuga people are very much distracted. So that's why Kali Yuga people, the news is that there are no rules and regulations to chanting the Holy. One can sit in any position. Obviously, don't sleep and chant. But then, because there are no rules and regulations, the best practice one can do is that get up early in the morning, because whatever we do in the morning, early morning, has a strong impact on us. I always give this example of my own life. In our childhood, there used to be a radio, Akashvani Kendra. What is that? पुण्याच्या आकाशवाणी केंद्रातून FM नंबर 101 वरून अमुक अमुक बोलत आहे, तुमचं स्वागत आहे. And then they used to say, play the very first thing, the भक्ति गीत. आपके सबके लिए भक्ति गीत का प्रसारण कर रहे हैं. केशवा माधवा तुझा नामात रे गोदवा. And then whole day I used to like murmur this thing only. So that's what happened. What you hear in the morning. Obviously, unfortunately, nowadays morning is like, people sleep at 3, 4 o'clock. And then they have just watched a movie, heard some songs from the movie. And then next day morning they get up and then they start, ish, wish, pyar, kya hoy, whatever. They go around, this, that. And then whole day they murmur this thing. But then if you are chanting the holy name of Lord in the early morning, you will surely remember that. And then by this remembrance, we will always connect ourselves with the God. And that we will be able to perform this Yuga Dharma, we will be able to perform this Yajna of chanting the holy name of Lord properly. And by this, we will connect ourselves to the God. Okay? So, there are no rules and regulations, but if we can practice nicely, the chanting of holy name of Lord, we can connect ourselves to the God. Yes, Kaustubh. What it is? Any question? Okay.
Ideal chanting काय असते? I know rules काहीच नाही, but काहीतरी एक boundary पाहिजे ना त्या.
Chanting, the very simple thing in the beginning, for a few years, we sit in one place, properly in nice asana, take the beads in our hand, and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When I'm saying this, we chant loudly so that we can hear, not the whole room can hear, but at least we can hear. That much loudly we can chant, because when you chant loudly, our focus, our attention comes to this. And when we are chanting, We can see the Mahamantra or we can see the picture of God, there is no problem. But the focus has to be on hearing. Because if you hear properly, then only there will be impact on the heart. There will be impact on the consciousness. So ideal way of chanting is that hear loudly, hear chant the proper mantra. Sometimes people chant Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram Krishna, Hare whatever. They don't chant completely also, unfortunately. So hear properly and chant the whole 16 syllable Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And properly sitting in asana. Another thing is that chant in the association of devotees. That's also very important. If you chant with devotees, that will help you a lot. Okay.
it was like generally लोग बोलते हैं कि हम मीट खा लिए एग खा लिए तो शायद चैन करना नॉनवेज खा
That's why Kalyuga people, this kind of reasons Kalyuga people will surely give. Like, when we go for distributing the Veda, hey, I will not touch it. आज मैंने मांस खाया. Don't worry. Okay, please take this Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita will purify you, and this Bhagavad Gita will remove all the. So similarly, even if people have committed some sin, they just wash their hands, legs, they wash themselves, if they can take bath, they chant. No problem. So, actually, this is an excuse people give for not doing it. But if they are doing, no problem. Sometimes it will take time for them to understand what is right, what is wrong. It will take time. Like one person who's one devotee, very great personality now. But then he went to Prabhupada and said, I have a habit of chanting Om. I chant Om. Prabhupada said, fine, you chant Om and then you chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And then eventually he left Om and then he started chanting only Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then eventually he became a very great sannyasi in ISKCON, very powerful person who built hundreds of temples, thousands of disciples he had. This is Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. Okay. Any questions, Chandra? Kaustubh?
Probably what is perfection? Or how do we understand that we have attained perfection?
Very good question. How, like we were discussing about perfection, why this is it? I think nobody is it. Let's stop it. So this particular verse talks about perfection, that out of thousands of people, one person attains perfection. Out of those 100,000 people who attain perfection, one will understand me in truth completely. So what is perfection? Is a very important thing to understand. So for different people, the definition of perfection can be different. But in spiritual life, the perfection is that we can always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That is a perfection. There are two different things. One is always remember Krishna, and second is never forget Krishna. So every moment we remember Krishna, and there are every moment there is a chance of forgetting Krishna. So we will always remember Krishna, and we will never ever forget Krishna. And that is the way we person. That's what Krishna says. Satatam kirtayanto ma. That person will always chant my holy name. So in spiritual life, you are asking what is perfection. So we will always remember God in our consciousness. That is a perfection, which is quite difficult. Okay. You have one more question, right? So how many questions? Harsh?
What is the goal of all this? To go back to how like, surety.
Surety.
Sometimes in the path of when there are obstacles that certainly arise in discussion. Again and again to remind us. How can we be on that?
So while practicing spiritual life, while practicing understanding this knowledge, what is the guarantee that I will reach there? So that's why the first session of this discovery itself is existence of God. It began with does God exist? So that first itself is that we develop a faith. Yes, God exists, and then when we develop this faith, which is called as a Shraddha, we started hearing more from a devotee from the scripture, and then after taking, they told the process also, and by that process, we will start seeing changes in our life. So what happens? We have to put faith. Ultimately, we put faith in anything and everything. Like I always talk about this faith. That you go to a barber shop, and you sit on the chair, and then barber puts that cloth around you, and he takes vastra in the hand. With this vastra, he can shave your beard, and at the same time, he can cut your throat. But how many of us really think that this barber is going to cut my throat? I have to be extremely good. Nobody thinks about it. We simply blindly put faith and give our neck in his hand. When it comes to traveling, you sit in the train. How many of you have gone and checked the loco pilot, train pilot's driver's license?
Yes.
How many of you? No one. How many of you ask a pilot in the plane that, sir, do you have just wearing a dress does not make you show us the license, show your experience certificate? No, he blindly put faith. But when it comes to a spiritual life, we say, why? Why should I put faith? Spiritual life? No. Who is Krishna? I will not go in. I don't want to go to it. And when this kind of faith is shaken, when we are not putting a complete faith in Krishna, we will always be doubtful. And that's why our faith has to be strong. That faith can be strong by Shabda Brahman, by hearing from the authorities, who have heard from the authorities, and who have attained perfection. By hearing from Shabda Brahman, from the authority, our faith becomes more strong. And when faith becomes more and more strong, another thing is that not the hearing is one of the process, but by following this process completely, we see change in ourselves, and that also increases faith. And that's why I always give the example. You go to a laboratory, and then you before going to laboratory, you have read the whole theory about that particular practical. That you do this, and then you get this particular result. That was a theory which you heard or which you read. But you actually go into a laboratory, you take those chemicals, you mix those chemicals, and then you see the output, and then you write the conclusion that you mix this particular chemical with that particular chemical, this particular result comes. When you got convinced of this thing, when you actually perform the practical. And that's why performance of practical is very important. So in the practice of spiritual life, hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita from the devotees and chanting the holy name of God is the best practice by which we will get more convinced. And then there will be no doubt. There will be complete faith. Okay. I think we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Discover Yourself Post ki jai.